Hello everyone, welcome back to another video review. Today we're gonna have a look at the Cooler Master HAF 912 Plus case. Like all of the cases from the HAF series from Cooler Master, this one has a very industrial and also aggressive look to it. It also has a bit of a rougher paint finish, which they probably did on purpose to make it look sturdier. The materials used in this case are mainly steel and a few plastic parts. With this case, Cooler Master includes several useful things like 12 zip ties for cable management, lots of screws, a motherboard speaker, adapters which I'll get back to further in the review, some mounts for your hard drives, this very convenient adapter for your Phillips screwdriver to screw in the motherboard standoffs onto the motherboard tray, and this little metal piece is for locking your case when you're going to a LAN party, for example. All you have to do is screw it onto the back of your case, put the side panel on and lock it with a lock. Note that there is no lock included. On the top of the front panel we can find the power button, reset button, power and hard drive activity LEDs, two USB 2 ports, an external serial ATA port, and the microphone and headphone jack. There are 4 5¼ drive bay covers, each with a dust filter, and one of these drive bay covers you can also use for the installation of a 3½ device. For the installation of a 3½ device they also include these 5¼ to 3½ drive bay rails. The installation of a 5¼ device is also very simple because of the toolless design. Just securely slide in the device and lock it in place like so. On the bottom of the front panel you can find the included 200mm red LED intake fan. You can get to it by taking off the front panel. Taking off the front panel is a rather easy job. It will just require taking off both side panels and then pushing these 6 clips on the side. When the front panel is taken off you can clearly see the 200mm fan, and note that you can replace this fan by two 120mm intake fans. Fortunately they also include a dust filter for the front intake fan. This dust filter is also washable. And now it is also easier for me to show you how to take off these drive bay covers, just like that. It's very easy. And you can put them in like this, and it's also very easy. Now you don't need to take out the front panel, I just did this to show you. On the left side panel they added a bit of design and also printed the HAF logo, which stands for high airflow. And you can also install an optional 120 or 140mm fan in that spot right there. Unfortunately there is no dust filter included. The other side panel has been left plain, but there seems to be enough room between it and the back of the motherboard tray for cable management. On the top panel of the 912 Plus you can install an optional 200mm fan or two 120mm fans or an external 240mm radiator for water cooling. Jumping to the back of the case we can see the opening for the motherboard's I/O shield, the included 120mm fan, holes for water cooling tubes to go through with rubber grommets, 7 expansion slots and another one right here, and the opening for your standard ATX power supply. Also note that they do include thumb screws for the left side panel but not for the right side panel. And to finish the exterior of the case we can find 4 plastic feet on the bottom of it and also a dust filter for your power supply's intake fan. When we open up the case you can obviously see the interior of it, and as you can see it is all painted black, and that is something I like. On the motherboard tray you can install a micro ATX or a standard ATX form factor motherboard. There is a very big hole for the CPU cooler's retention plate, there are many cable management holes around the motherboard tray, and there are also many punch outs to attach cables to. In the back of the case you can again see the included 120mm fan, for which they also include a 3-pin to 4-pin Molex connector adapter, and the same goes for the 200mm intake fan. On the bottom of the case they've installed 4 rubber feet for the power supply to rest on, and the 2.5-inch hard drive cage, in which you can install two 2.5-inch drives. There is also the option to install a 2.5-inch drive on this 3.5-inch to 2.5-inch drive adapter. You just put the mounts for hard drives on either side, of course put the drive on this adapter, and then slide the adapter securely in place. If you are installing a longer power supply you can remove this cage by screwing out these 2 screws and then taking out the cage like so. You can install 4 3.5-inch drives in this cage and 2 in this one. The installation of a hard drive is toolless. All you need to do is attach 2 of the included mounts on the side of the hard drive and slide it securely in place. After screwing out 4 screws on the other side of this cage, you can turn it 90 degrees or just remove it, so you have the option to install video cards up to a length of 39 centimeters. If this cage is still in its original position, you can install video cards with a length of up to 27 centimeters. And also, before I forget, when the hard drive cage is removed, you can put the 2.5 inch hard drive cage on top here and install it with 4 screws. After installing everything in the 912 Plus with a pretty fast cable management job actually, you can see that everything looks pretty clean, and that's due to the enough amount of cable management holes and punch outs. I didn't really install my hard drive so that I would get the optimal airflow. If I wanted that, I would have turned around the cage like 90 degrees. But I didn't do that because this is a default setup, and also this looks nicer for cable management. Another thing is that I didn't install the 2.5 inch drive cage, actually because the cables of my power supply hit it, so it didn't fit in anymore, so we had to go out. Other than that, I don't really have anything to say about this case. Cable management was pretty easy to do, so let's have a look at the other side of the motherboard tray. So yeah, this is the cable management job that I did. It's actually a quick cable management job, but it looks really nice in this case. The cable management holes are all placed very conveniently, especially the one here for the 8 or 4 pin power connection. You don't need an extension cable, so that's really useful. All the punch outs are also placed like everywhere on the motherboard tray, and yeah, I used most of them with zip ties. They include 12, and by coincidence I also used 12, so that's really cool. And I have enough space to put the side panel back on, and so yeah, for cable management this case is pretty good. And as an overall conclusion on this case, I have to say that you get a really good bang for the buck. This is a budget case. It comes for around 80 euros, but you get lots of features and options. The interior is all black, as well as the included screws. There is a very good tools design. For cable management, this case is also very comfortable, and the included fans, they give a good airflow. But I'd like to add that it could never hurt to add a few more fans or replace the one in the back by a stronger one. And also, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna keep saying this about many cases that I'm gonna be reviewing in the future, but there is no dust filter on the side panel. Now I know this is a budget case, but still this is an issue that I have with many cases, even expensive ones. But anyway, this is an awesome case. Thanks for watching this video review. Be sure to comment, rate and subscribe if you haven't yet. Also thanks to Cooler Master for making this review possible. And I'll see you guys in the next video.